Welcome back, subscribers, and hello YouTube viewers. On this occasion we're off to Waverley Park, also and originally called VFL Park. It is approximately 28 kilometres or 17 miles southeast of Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, and was an Australian rules football stadium in the suburb of Mulgrave. For most of its history, its purpose was as a neutral venue and used by all Victorian-based Victorian Football League teams and also the Australian Football League clubs. During the 1990s, it became the home ground of both the Hawthorn and St Kilda football clubs. It ceased to be used for AFL games from the 2000 season following the opening of the Docklands Stadium. It is currently used as a training venue for Hawthorn Football Club. The main grandstand and oval are listed on the Victorian Heritage Register. The seating capacity is now 6,000, down from a peak of 72,000 to 92,000. The original plans were for a stadium catering for up to 157,000 patrons, which would have made it one of the biggest in the world. To accommodate the large number of patrons, the members' stand was to be extended around the whole ground. However, in 1982-1983, when the extensions were due to commence, the government of Victoria, led by Premier John Cain, who was a member of the Melbourne Cricket Club, refused to approve the plans for an upgrade because it would have threatened the Melbourne Cricket Club's, or MCG, right to host the VFL Grand Final. The league-owned VFL Park had originally been built with the intent of replacing the MCG as the permanent home of the Grand Final, but the Victorian government, with interest in the MCG, refused to allow its capacity upgrade. No further development occurred and the ground capacity was set at just over 100,000 patrons, later reduced to 72,000. Now, going back to the initial construction of the park, in 1965 construction actually started, and in 1970 the first game was played between Geelong and Fitzroy. Roads not upgraded and rail line never built. The previous government of 17 years wasn't interested in VFL Park. The playing surface, being 200 metres long and 160 metres wide, was the biggest in the league. That caused some controversy, and the boundary lines and goals were relocated to make the playing area a similar size to that of the MCG. Now, to finish up with the history, there are some memorial events that occurred. A record attendance of 92,935 attended a Collingwood versus Hawthorn match in 1981. In 1977, VFL Park played host to the first Super Test of Kerry Packers World Series cricket. It was also the host for the first ever day-night cricket game. In 1978, Fitzroy defeated North Melbourne to win the Night Series Premiership. And on the 15th of November 1980, the band Kiss played for a crowd of over 40,000 on their first tour of Australia. In 1987, Fitzroy played North Melbourne in the first night match at the stadium for premiership points in the major competition. In 1989, a match was played for premiership points on a Sunday at VFL Park for the first time. And finally, the ground hosts its first and only AFL Grand Final in 1991, which was contested by Hawthorn and the West Coast Eagles because of the Melbourne Cricket Ground at the time was undergoing construction of the Great Southern Stand. So without further ado, let's check out the sights and sounds of this park. So here we are at the VFL Park, or Waverley Park as it's better known, and it's also the home base for the Hawthorn Football Club. So we'll go for a bit of a wander and let's see what we see. So this is the only part of the stadium that still exists. There's housing, as we'll see with the drone footage, right around the perimeter, which is not a bad backdrop for all those homes that back onto or face the sporting field itself. So I'm assuming this is some form of mosaic with little tiles. Now if you're looking for something to do for a lunchtime break to go somewhere and reminisce about the good old days of coming out to VFL Park, you can still do that, and you can actually have a little lunch here. Now as I've come around the corner where the stadium is, there is a little fish and chip shop. So you can get your fish and chips, overlook the oval, maybe watch the Hawthorn football team practice or whatever they do. Once again, I'm not much of a footy fan at all, and I'm a bit of a St Kilda supporter, only because they seem to always let me down. And I think I was only born, and I was only 1 year old when it was 1966 and they won their premiership, and the only time they've won it. But we'll continue on. So you've got the stadium there. I'm not sure if you can access it. I think you can. So you get your fish and chips from downstairs and overlook the football field. So this is for all you Hawthorn supporters out there. John Kennedy. So here we have the other side of the stadium that's still remaining and being used for offices. I think there's like a fitness place here as well. There are cafes at either side. So we saw the Chippery, and there's also another place on the other side that also has food, and you can sit out there, and they have a small section of the seating area of the stadium still accessible. So you can sit there and have your lunch. Not bad. A lot of dog walkers in the area. This is pretty much a residential area now, but it is really nice. I wouldn't be disappointed if I was living here. It's quite a nice little area. So this is your directory of what's available at this location. And as we've discovered, there's a Chippery on one side, and the other one's called the Last Piece. So it's like a little cafe. You can sit at this end or at the oval end. So that's not too bad. And I can tell you, there's a lot of magpies around here swooping everyone, which is pretty funny. So there you go. That's not a bad place. I think they've kept the most important part of the stadium, and it's been really well maintained. So you've got to give credit where credit's due, and I think all the residents that live around here must be quite happy with it. Don't know how it goes if they've got a concert on, but I don't think they do concerts here anymore. I think it's just purely for football, for training. I hope the girls get to play on the field as well for the Hawthorn Football Club. So there you go. So all those people that used to rush out here in the 80s and 90s, and even the 70s, you can reminisce. And once again, I don't think there's too much transport out this way. I think Wellington Road's the closest, and there's a bus stop that comes past. So that's nearly about it. So it's one of those moment in time types of videos. Once again, if you do like the video, by all means, click on that like button or that thumbs up icon. Please consider subscribing. Subscribing does not cost you 1 cent. But most importantly, stay safe, commute safe, and have a great day. Thanks for watching.